Hey everyone, it's your old man here. I just wanted to talk about something that, I don't know, I just felt like I couldn't keep my mouth shut about. So I recently watched a Rick Beato video where, in a nutshell, he's just talking about how... What the fuck am I watching, dude? And I still kill him. Let's go. Oh. Anyways, guys, so I watched a video from Rick Beato. I don't know if you guys are heavily involved in the music scene or if you give a shit about music at all, but okay, this video, Rick Beato essentially goes over a lot of the problems that he believes exist within the music industry, and one of the things that he heavily talks about and heavily criticizes is just the fact that it's become a lot easier to make music than it used to be. He poses it as if it's the reason that modern music sounds like shit, but that's not true. Okay. Opinions are about to be shared here, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, blah, 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 disclaimer. In my humble opinion, as a musician that has been in the musician industry for over 20 years, there is no such thing as making music sound worse just because it's more accessible to produce it. Yes, you're going to have like little kids that suddenly have access to making music, but that's not a bad thing. Are those things that are produced by the little kids going to like have a cultural impact of any sort? No. Like, it's literally just a fucking kid having fun making music. And I know he's not specifically going out of his way to be like, kids are ruining things or blah blah blah, but I'm just using that as an example because it's like, if music production didn't become like as accessible as it is, think about how many kids would never get involved with making music. I can see where, like, as a old head rock producer or like rock and roll artist, you're all concerned about like modern technology and what it's going to do to your genre and blah blah blah. But listen, dude, as a metalhead, as a long-term metalhead, and not just a metalhead that listens to like only modern day shit, but a metalhead that listens to like a lot of things, shut the fuck up. Honestly, you're really just showing how out of tune you are with society. Like, no offense, I think your videos are cool and shit. I don't have any gripes with you personally, but it's just like, man, you're talking out your ass at the moment. Like, you don't understand what it's like to actually be young and have access to these tools. He's basically equating like music is dog shit and will forever worsen because of the fact that it's so easy to write songs nowadays. But it's like, dude, you should be happy. As a person that loves music, you should be happy that music is becoming more accessible to people that are non-musicians. One of the most common things I get asked as a drummer is, how did you start drumming? The answer to that question is always, my parents were in a fortunate enough position to invest into me learning drums and owning a drum set at a very young age. Most people are not going to be able to afford a brand new drum set for a little child to start learning how to drum. And most people's parents don't have the patience to sit there listening to their child bang on shit all fucking day. I mean, let's just be real. But with the invention of these digital drums, I won't even go into like digital audio workstations yet. Just with the invention of fucking electronic drum sets, like, that opened up a whole world to people that didn't have a way to play a drum set before. When I think about drummers taking lessons nowadays, I always see drummers on electronic sets. I don't see them on acoustic sets. And some old heads might be like, oh, that's the problem, they need to learn on acoustic sets and blah blah blah. Shut the fuck up. All that matters is that they're learning how to drum, and that's fucking cool. I don't care what medium they use to learn it. I just care that they learn it because that's awesome. That's awesome that drumming isn't dead and buried in the ground. That's cool. That's cool that kids want to learn that shit. But you have idiots sitting there being like, music is so bad and it's only going to get worse because of AI and because of this and because of that. Look, I can get where you're coming from when it comes to like AI. I can get that part being like, man, that's gross. Like, why would you want to make a song using AI? It takes all of the creativity out of it, right? That part I understand. But to say that music in its entirety is only going to worsen simply because it's easier to make music than it was when he was younger, that's so stupid, man. When you were making music, it was fucking difficult because you're old as shit, man. All right, let's just be real. You're old as shit. Yeah, of course it was much more difficult to fucking make music back then. It should be because technology wasn't a thing yet. Like it was, but it wasn't as sophisticated and advanced as it is now. But he's over here being like, music is dog shit because it's so much easier to record drums now. Dude, as someone that has spent countless hours drumming and as someone that has spent countless hours in the studio trying to record said drums, yes, recording drums live is difficult. It's a very, very tedious process. It takes a lot of money to get all of the right equipment. It's a whole ordeal, right? So why then would you not encourage young people that don't have access to all of this expensive equipment, or that don't have access to an expensive drum set, or that don't have access to a recording studio, or that are simply just literal children? Why would you not encourage them to just fucking use electronic drums or use a digital audio workstation and program some drums? Either way, they're still going to be learning about drumming through the process of trial and error. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Why would you go out of your way to specifically tell the younger generations and what have you that, oh yeah, music is horrible and the reason is because you're using these damn digital audio workstations? Like, shut up, dude. No. That is so far from being correct. It's insanity. You should buy a $5,000 drum set, spend over $1,000 on microphones, and then spend like another $1,000 on all of the other equipment you're going to need to use those microphones. And then on top of all of that, learn how to set up a microphone, how to get proper levels, how to, like, there's so much that goes into it. And that's not even including like mixing it, mastering it, fucking everything else that goes into it. Like, why would you encourage someone that has no understanding of A, how to play drums, B, what a good sounding drum set would sound like, and C, someone that's just trying to get into music? Why would you encourage them to go the harder route? Why would you make their life more difficult? That makes no sense whatsoever. I want people to learn drums. I was a drum teacher for a while. I was so happy that one of my students went out of his way to download FL Studio when he didn't have a drum set so that he could practice the things that I taught him in drum lessons. Now, was he physically practicing by literally picking up drumsticks and hitting a drum set? No, but he was still understanding the theory behind it, and that's a fucking big deal because he was able to go home, get on FL Studio, and recreate like 3 or 4 of the beats that I showed him how to play in lessons, and through doing that, he is still learning. He is still gaining something from it. Moreover, he had to have gone through my drum lessons in order to recreate the drum beats that he did. Someone that doesn't understand drumming wasn't going to be able to recreate a drum beat that has ghost notes in it. Just me saying the word ghost notes, 80% of you are probably like, what the fuck is a ghost note? What is he talking about? This does not compute, right? So if I told someone that has zero understanding of rhythm and drumming to program a drum beat that incorporates ghost notes, they're not going to understand what to do. But because that guy, that kid had a instructor that was guiding him, he was already at a point where he could say, oh, ghost notes, I know what those are. In fact, I have such a strong grasp and understanding of what that is that I can program it in a program I have never touched until today. Is that not what you hope for? Like, what better outcome could you ask for? You're teaching a child something. He's going home and is continuing to be interested in it and going out of his way to find new methods of practicing because he doesn't have a drum set at his disposal. Like, that's awesome. But if you were to ask Rick Beato, that's not awesome. That is terrible that a child is being exposed to such an easy way to produce drums. Like, dude, all I'm saying is it's not the 1960s. When I was heavily involved in the metal scene and playing a lot of live shows and doing all of these things, one of the most common things that I heard specifically metal guitarists talking about was like whether or not to use pedals, whether or not that's cheating. I don't know how that, in what fucking universe that would be cheating. You still need to play your instrument in order for it to sound good. Moreover, there was an argument between using direct input or recording live, and an argument between what guitar to use and what guitar not to use. Essentially, some guitarists had new technologies put into it that old guitarists did not approve of. This one guitarist that I had in particular was extremely like, I have to use vintage equipment. I prefer the sound of vintage equipment. I will go out of my way to get vintage equipment, and I will shit on anyone that uses modern equipment and technology and things that make it easier to play. Like, why would you want to make it more difficult for yourself to play your instrument? That doesn't make any fucking sense. If you enjoy the challenge, all right, fair game, you know what I mean? But I'm wholeheartedly convinced that these people that are of this mindset are not doing it because they enjoy the challenge. I'm just convinced that they just don't like change. They don't want something to ruin their precious metal. But it's like, dude, the only thing that's ruining anything is you ruining a good time. I remember when sweep picking became like a big phenomenon in metal. Oh my god, my fucking guitarists would not shut the fuck up about it. They were clearly insecure that they could not perform sweep picking, so they would just shit upon it non-stop. And I think that's where a lot of these thought processes come from, is like insecurities. Oh, how am I going to maintain my position in my band or have my career if Johnny down the street that doesn't even know how to play guitar can just open up an amp simulator and play the piano on his keyboard and suddenly he has a guitar sound. I heard guitarists complain about that shit so much. I heard endless amounts of complaints about that. But in reality, now that time has passed, ultimately those things were good. Those things made life so much easier for guitarists. The only people that actually hated the invention of like guitar pedals and sweep picking and just new things in general were the old heads that were already playing guitar before that shit was invented. Don't be afraid of change, man. Don't be afraid of change. That's where beautiful things happen. Oh man, I remember I had this discussion with my my old drum instructor Brett Fredrickson, who unfortunately passed away. Rest in peace. He was basically telling me like he gets a lot of comments on YouTube of people essentially calling him a fake drummer because he taught all of his students how to drum on electronic sets, which I never understood why. You still have to know how to play the fucking drums in order to produce the sounds that you hear on an electronic set. Does it technically make some things easier? Yes, but why would that be a bad thing? Why would more accessibility be a bad thing? I don't understand. If something becomes more accessible and you were already good at doing that thing before it became accessible, that just means your job became even easier and you can do even more. When I get on an electronic drum set, I can play things so fucking easily. Can I also play those same things on an acoustic drum set? Absolutely. But sometimes I just have more fun playing it on an electronic drum set, and I don't always want to have to fucking hear an acoustic drum set, man. That shit's loud. The amount of problems that an electronic drum set solved for people is insane, but yet you still have people sitting around being like, oh, it's terrible. If you use an electric kit, you're not a real drummer. If you listen to music that has fake drums in it, that's not real music. If the fucking song you're listening to wasn't recorded with 6 microphones, one on each drum drum and 2 in the air. It's not a real drum set record. Dude, shut the fuck up. Does it sound good? Does it groove well? All right. Then what's the problem? There is none. You're creating a problem where there is none. That's the problem. You're the problem. Anyways, back to my like original point. Rick Beato, I wholeheartedly disagree with you. I think it's really fucking stupid that you would go out of your way to tell people that like recording being easier is a bad thing. It's still pretty easy to tell when like someone programmed drums versus someone playing them live. But I can almost certainly guarantee you there will come a point not long from now where you where you will not be able to fucking tell the difference, man. And then what? And then what's your argument? Well, I hate that they sound so good because back in my day it took a lot of effort to make them sound good. Like, shut the fuck up. Who cares? Why would anyone care about that argument? You know what I'm saying? Does it really matter, man? Does it, like, at the end of the day, does it truly matter? No, it doesn't. Again, I have no hate towards Rick Beato. I think he's a cool guy. I think his content is interesting, and I like to watch it from time to time, but I don't know. I just severely disagreed with his stance on modern music production.